Welcome to Module 1, Lesson 5. All right, for this math lesson, we need to be able to tell the difference between standard form, expanded form, unit form, and word form. The thing that you guys are most common with, and what you use most of the time when we're working in math, is standard form, which is just the numbers. And I've written that down for you. It's 52. And then if we're going to do expanded form, we would need to break it down by each unit. So in expanded form, I would do 5, because that's my number in the 10 spot, times 10, plus 2 times 1, because I have 2 in the 1 spot, and that equals 52. That's my expanded form for that number. If I was going to switch over to unit form, I have 5 tens and 2 ones. And the last is just word form. I'm not allowed to use any numbers at all. It all has to be in words. So it would just be 52. So again, I started with a standard form. They're not always going to ask you to start with standard form. Sometimes they're going to start with unit form or word form. And in this example, we started with with word form. So it says 3,000. The important thing to realize right here is that THS is telling me it's a decimal. It's less than a whole number. So I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add a decimal, and then I'm going to the thousand spot. So that's 1, 2, 3, 3 spots down, and there's 3,000ths, which means this is a 0 and that's a 0. So there I am in standard form. Next is expanded form. So for this one, I'm going to write 3 over 1,000, and that equals 0.003. And then our last thing that we need to do is unit form. So again, this time it's 3, the number, and then we're writing thousandths. Again, we're keeping that THS because it reminds us it's to the right of the decimal. So let's try another one. And again, I started with word form. It's 25 and 413 thousandths. So let's look at the word form really quickly. And you might notice there's something that's not a number in here. It's word and. When you see that, that designates the decimal point. So if I go up here to do standard form first, 25 and, that's telling me where my decimal goes, 413 thousandths. So I know I'm going to go over 3 places, and I know it needs to read 413. So 25 and 413 thousandths. Now I'm going to go to expanded form. This one's going to be a little bit longer than the first few that we did. So here we go. There's 2 in the 10 place, so it's going to start with 2 times 10 plus 5 times 1. There's 5 in the ones place, plus 4, and 4 is in the tenths place, so I'm going to multiply it by 1 over 10 plus 1 times 1 over 100 for the hundredths place. And then last but not least, I'm going to go down below, plus 3 times 1, and it's in the thousands place, so over 1,000. The last thing that we need to do is unit form. And for this one, we have 2 tens, 5 ones, 4 tenths, again, THS, because we're to the right of the decimal, 1 hundredths. Move this down below because this is longer. I'm running out of space with my big writing. 1 hundredth. And the last one is 3 thousandths. So there is one other thing with the expanded form. And when I get down to the decimals, I can write it like this, or I could have written it as 4 times 0.1 plus 1 times 0.01, and then down here plus 3 times 0.001. Your option of writing when you're multiplying either by doing it by a decimal or by a fraction. Before we wrap it up, I want to do one last example of showing you the two different ways you can do expanded form when you get to the decimals. So for expanded form, doesn't matter which one I'm going to do. If I do 3 times 1, that's going to be the same, and I'm going to do 1. I'm going to do my fractions in blue. I'm going to do my decimals in green. So it doesn't matter what I start with. I'm going to go back up to my fractions. So now I'm going to do 7 times, and again, I'm doing fractions, so this is the 10th place, so it's 1 over 10. The equivalent, if I was doing it as decimals, and the 7 is the same, because it's in the 10th place, but when I multiply it, I do it by 0.1, which is tenths. Going back up to the fractions, the 100th place, it's a 5 there, so I'd multiply it by 1 over, and again, that's the 100th place. It's telling me what place value that is. And then going back down to doing the decimal again, 5 is in that 100th place. And then when I'm multiplying it, it's by 0.01, again, the 100th place. And then flipping it back, going back up to the top again for the last thing, it's a 2 times a fraction again, and it's in the 1000th place. So there you see the 1,000 in the lower part of the fraction. And then moving back down to decimals, it is 2 times 0.001. So those are your two options. You can either again use decimals to multiply to the right of the decimal, or you can use the option of multiplying it by fractions.